Today, we are talking about how to get your deals red zone ready. In football, the red zone is where execution matters most. You can move the ball down the field, but if you get sloppy near the goal line, you'll still walk away with nothing. Private money brokering works the same way. A lead is not a deal. A borrower wanting money is not a fundable file. A lender saying send it over does not mean the broker has done the job. Your job as the broker is to package the deal so clearly that the lender can understand the opportunity, identifying the risk and making the decision quickly. Welcome to the Broker Playbook, everyone. Got a familiar face with me is Mr. Justin Lundy from your Director of Operations for COGO Capital is your official title, correct?
Well, I have a new tagline now, Director of Operations and Strategy for COGO Capital and Security Investment Corp. Yeah.
Well, every single one of you got an email. We're talking about this playbook, the red zone, right? How we're going to take you through it. Well, I brought Justin in because as of Monday, we have a whole entire new broker portal, new broker system that we need to demonstrate for you guys so you know what to expect from it to maximize your time in the red zone. So, and then after Justin, I will take over and we'll give you your red zone training from there. So Justin, over to you to start off with.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate you inviting me back on the show. It's been a while. I'm always excited when I can be on here and get to talk to our brokers. Yeah, so I'm excited to share everybody some exciting new updates today with COGO Capital. So our goal at the end of the day is trying to create the most seamless possible systems for you guys, the most frictionless processes. So part of that is a new loan origination system. So as of Monday, this past Monday, June 1st, we have now transitioned into a new loan origination system. We went from a system called Liquid Logics to a new system called the Mortgage Office, or as we call it, TMO. So exactly as Brandon said, that comes with a new application, that comes with a new that comes with a new application, that comes with a new borrower portal and everything. So I'm going to demo with you guys today. What does that new process look like? So the first thing we're going to delve into is, let's say you have a new loan. You've gone into the back office, you've used the broker sizer, you've sized it out, terms look good. You're going to contact your loan officer. You're going to speak with them about the terms. They're going to take a look at the deal on their end. And then once you guys agree to the complete structure, they're going to send you out an email that's going to come to you, and we're going to need three things essentially. First thing we're going to do is we're going to send you a loan application app, which is this here, this link that you're looking at. We're going to send you a rehab budget, which I will show as well. We're going to have a set template for our rehab budgets that we're going to require that I'll go over here. And then finally, we're just going to request some information about the appraisal. When it comes to ordering the appraisal, who are we going to contact? How are we going to get access to the property? Everything like that. So real quick, once you open that application link in that email, it's going to look like this. Now, I do want to preface this by saying this is our temporary app. Reason being is we have more of a custom one in development that should be done here in the coming weeks. So this is going to look a little bit different. So while it's going to look different here soon, the process is still going to be essentially the same. So right here on top, you're going to have your getting started. It's going to be what best describes you, borrower or broker. You guys are brokers, so if you're filling out the app on behalf of your borrower, you're going to select broker, and then it's going to go ahead and prompt to enter in your information here. If you're sending the application directly to your borrower, then you'll switch that to borrower, and then it will no longer ask for that. I'll show you real quick. You change it to borrower, and then it's not going to ask for that broker information. So if we're all brokers here, we're going to go ahead and fill out the application with the broker details. So we're going to want your company name, which this is your LLC name. So this isn't your full name like Justin Lundy. This would be my broker LLC, like let's say Lundy LLC. Then you have your first name, last name. You can include middle initial if you would like. Your address, this is your address that you live at. This is not your property address that you're looking for funding on. The city, state, zip code, your email address. This is a big one. This is where your new borrower application portal is going to be sent to. So you want to make sure the email address you have on there is the correct one, because once you have your portal set up the first time, that's going to be the portal that you utilize for every single loan, which I'll demo here in a few moments, as well as your phone number for contact details. Then here, the email address best used to be check the status of this application. This ideally should be your email as well, because you are working on behalf of your borrower to fund the loan with COGO Capital. So you're going to be the one going through the process of the application, working with the processor to get all the documents. You're going to be handling everything inside of the portal. Now here's your borrower's information. So we need their full name. Now this full name is not, again, Justin Lundy. This is an entity name because we don't lend to individuals. We lend to entities only. This is where we will have your borrower's entity name. If they don't have one yet, maybe they haven't structured one, that's perfectly okay. You can put TBD, you can put any kind of placeholder in there. We can always update anything else later down the line. We'll need your borrower's first name. Same thing again, middle initial if they oblige, last name, and then same thing. This is their address of where they live. Now, one field in here is social security number. This is a field where if you are filling this out on behalf of your borrower, not every broker can get social security numbers because sometimes, you know, borrowers just frankly aren't comfortable sharing that information, and rightfully so. So if that's something that you're unable to get from your borrower into this, we have other ways of obtaining that social security number, and we can, again, get it later down the line, which is why you'll see it's not a required field. Finally, we have contact phone number here. This can just be the main contact number for your borrower. You can ignore office phone and marital status. Again, this is our temporary application. We have our full custom one under development, and that will be out very shortly. Down the line here, we have loan amount requested. So you're going to put in how much the loan amount you're looking for, which will come from that sizer. Once you've sized the loan and worked with the loan officer, you should know what terms you are looking at. And then you're going to describe the use of the funds here. So this is a free type box that you can even drag down by selecting that right corner there. And then this is going to go ahead and be able to type in, you know, what am I looking for? I'm looking for these funds to do a fix and flip. I want to do this with the property. I want to do this with the property. Scrolling down here, you're going to have your property information. So this is going to be where you put the property details. This description is kind of like whatever you want to call it. You can call it like, you know, fix and flip in Tallahassee, Florida. You can call it single family home. It's a free type box for you, and that's something that we'll just have as well inside our internal system. Here's your property address, city, state, zip code, property type, whether it's single family residential, single family zoned residential, lot/parcel if we were doing a new construction loan. Commercial, which we are no longer doing, which I'm actually going to go over that in a brief moment as well. But anyways, you can pick your property type there, estimated market value, and then after repair value. If you'd like to use a property as collateral, say you want to do cross collateralization or your borrower wants to, you can click this box and then you're able to do cross collateralization. Once you click submit, it's going to go ahead and take you to a page where you can create your account login for your new broker portal. So I've already created an account, so I'm going to go ahead and log in real quick so I can show everybody what this looks like. Okay, so once I sign in, you're going to immediately see the new portal. It's a much more clean design than our last one. Oh, get rid of that. It's a lot less busy than the one that we used to have before, and it's just, at the end of the day, a lot more simplistic. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to take me right into any open loan that you're actively working. So if you're working an active loan, especially the one you just applied for, it's going to go ahead and take you into that one. Right away, you're going to see up top here a status bar that's going to show you the status of the application. You're going to see when it's submitted, when it's pending, when it's received, when it's approved or denied, and then when it's accepted. Approved and accepted are kind of one and the same. Another great feature that we have here is we have this message box. So this is a direct message feature where you can direct message the COGO Capital team safely inside of this lockdown platform. This eliminates all the need for Outlook, text messages, phone calls, all these different communication channels that can get, you know, mixed up. You now can just easily message back and forth with the COGO Capital team right from in here. On the right-hand side here, you're going to see, I've already uploaded a few things. You're going to see our list of documents. Now, these are our standard list of documents that we need for every loan. One thing I want to go ahead and let everybody know is this is a general catch-all list. This is not everything we need for every single loan. So for instance, you're going to see a purchase and sales agreement, and then if you scroll down, you're going to see a payoff. Those typically do not go together. When you're doing a purchase and sales agreement, it's a new purchase. When you're doing a payoff, it's a refinance. You already own the property. So you only upload documents that apply to you. Now, again, this is not the complete list. As you're working with your processor, they may request additional documents that don't appear here. Let's say the property's in an HOA and we need HOA docs. The processor will go into the system on the back end and they will request that document. And then you're going to see it appear in your portal here that you can easily upload. And again, if you have any questions throughout the whole process, you can message your processor right through here and you guys can go back and forth and exchange details there. Now, if I click back up here on this little home icon, it's going to take us back to what is essentially the home page. So on the left-hand side, you're going to see haven't applied, apply now. This is something, that's funky.
Well, I love when things don't work the way you want.
I know, right? It's like everything was working until I get here. As soon as it's showtime, that's when everything breaks. I do apologize about that. I don't know why it's doing that. But anyways, what this would generally show is there would be a loan application there where you can complete the loan application and then that will send it directly to COGO Capital. Now, one thing to be aware of, in the old borrower broker portal, you used to be able to create loans. So you would go in there, create a loan, send it into COGO, and a loan officer would reach out. That's not how this new system works. The process is a little bit different, which I'll get further into in a little bit. But when you apply through here, it creates an application instead of a new loan, and then that will be reviewed by our order entry team. Last few things here on our portal, if I click on already applied login, this is going to take me to my main dashboard. So from here now you can see all the loans that are being worked. This is going to be very important for a broker because you're going to be working with multiple clients at once. So you can manage all your loans from right in here. So you can scroll down and it's like, okay, I'm working on the West Riverstone Drive loan. Let me open that. Need to upload documents. Great. I can click back. Now I need to work on the 701 East Front Ave. I know they're all called 701 East Front Ave. Open that one, work on documents. Fantastic. So that essentially breaks down the new borrower and broker portal. Again, it's very simple, much more simplistic than what we had before. And that's what we're after at COGO Capital. We're after simplicity. You know, I believe strongly in the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. And that's something that we try to employ every day as well in our processes. Now, one thing I mentioned was when you go ahead and speak with a loan officer about a new loan, you're going to also receive that COGO Capital budget template. We have this standardized now COGO Capital budget template in Excel that we will require filled out on every single loan that has rehab involved. Why are we requiring it? Because having standardization helps our processes downstream as well as our servicing department. We're able to easily read and review budgets when they're in the same format every single time. And then also we're able to upload and import that information a lot quicker into our systems because of it. Now, there's a good chance that your borrower may already have a budget from a contractor. So all we ask is that either yourself or the borrower go into here and just transfer the information over. You know, if there is some, let's say, what's pretty common on here, roofing. Let's say there's some material cost for roofing. Just go ahead and go over here, type in that information straight from your borrower's budget and bring it on over. So that is everything that I wanted to show today regarding the borrower portal and the new budget template. A couple things I want to just let everybody know, because I know COGO Capital, we've made a lot of changes lately. You guys have been seeing a lot of things coming down the pipeline, received a lot of emails. It's like, hey, we're doing this, now we're doing this, now we're doing this. So I just want to quickly reiterate to everybody kind of where we are. So just finishing out the process, once we receive your documentation and the loan application link has been completed, the loan's going to move into what's called order entry. Order entry is going to do an initial review of the file. Then we're going to send it over to our managing director, who is currently handling our preliminary underwriting. This is something very exciting, is that now we're making all of our deal decisions up front rather than later down the line. So you're not wasting your time and your borrower's time and resources, you know, getting through this whole deal to find out at the very end, oh, we can't do it. We're reviewing the deal up front now. What are the main things we're looking for? People property package, essentially. So we review the person first. We want to look at their credit, look if they have any outstanding judgments, look if they've even paid off COGO a couple times. We also want to look at their experience. And then property. Because we're an asset-based lender, property is generally going to outweigh people a little bit more. Somebody could have less than a 600 minimum credit score. They could be at 580, but the property is a fantastic location, a fantastic deal. So we're generally going to approve it based on that. But when you're looking at properties with your borrower, make sure you're looking within around a 1 hour commute time of a major metropolitan area. So we're talking outside the Dallas area, outside the Phoenix area. And generally speaking, there's only 2 states that don't have what's called an MSA, a metropolitan statistical area, which is a fancy way of basically saying major metropolitan area, is Montana and Wyoming. So don't think that a property is too rural because it's, 30 miles outside of Birmingham, Alabama. There's a good chance that it does still qualify with COGO Capital, and still feel free to reach out to your loan officer and discuss it further. Real quick, before I go, I really appreciate Brandon's time for allowing me on the show again to share all the exciting updates. I just want to reiterate all of our guidelines and all of our special offers and pricing that we have for everybody. So right now, our standard pricing with COGO Capital is up to 95% loan to cost, up to 65% loan to value of the ARV or the as is. And then the exciting pricing that we've just recently rolled out for our master broker students. So if you're not currently a master broker, definitely reach out to your BDC to get some more information on this. We are now funding your clients, no joint venture required. You don't even have to guarantee the loan. You don't have to be a part of the loan at all. Any client that you bring to COGO Capital will receive 100% of the rehab and 100% of the purchase price, which is 100% loan to cost, up to 70% LTV of the ARV or the as is, and all your borrower has to cover is closing costs. Folks, this is something that's pretty much unmatched in the industry. And we're saying you don't even have to be on the loan. You just bring your client to COGO Capital and you're going to receive that pricing. So again, if that's something that interests you, which I feel like it should, especially if you guys want to, have really competitive broker pricing and broker offers out there on the market, definitely reach out to your BDC.
I can tell you, everyone, I've taken advantage of this new program about 5 times inside of the last 2 weeks. And I've got 3 loans with COGO going actively right now. The guidelines that he just talked about, they're really important. That hour commute time, we've actually expanded almost everything out to make it easier on you. Right. This is one of the things that Justin has been working on. You guys met Andrew Benton in our last webinar. Right. The thing that we've been working on is taking the feedback that you've been giving us and giving you what you're asking for so you can do more deals faster. I absolutely love the review process before the deal even gets moving, because I don't want to waste time if it's not going to be able to be funded. I don't want to have my client pay for an appraisal if there's not even a good chance we're going to even do it anyway. I would rather get that up front. And that's a new trend within the industry that there's a couple others that are doing it, but they haven't started doing it until after we did. So yeah, we're being a trendsetter right now. You'll probably see it happening a lot in the future. I know there's quite a few questions that'll probably be popping up. And that's, if you've got questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I'll do my best to answer them throughout the way. But I'm pretty sure at one point you'll have, when we get the new broker portal, you'll have a little video where we're sending out to everybody or putting in the back office for them, correct?
Absolutely. Once we have the new application fully completed, everything is exactly how it's meant to be. We will create a training video that will be widely distributed.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, Justin, thank you so much for taking your time to be with us. I know you've got some major things that you've got to get to help roll out some further changes. So I'm going to let you get back to that.
Absolutely.
Well, I run into here.
Thank you again.
I don't know about all of you, but I am extremely, I can't say it enough, extremely excited about the opportunities that all of you have. For me, my business has started to boom because of this new master broker level financing, because of these new pre-approval processes that Justin was talking about, because of all of the changes that Andrew Benton is starting to roll out that are going to help every single one of you become so much more powerful. Now, what we had just talked about, what Justin just talked about, the loan products, he talked about the portal, right? All of that is in what I would call the red zone area of private money brokering. And if you know anything about football, right, the red zone is where you want to be, but it's also the hardest part to score from, right? And so I'm going to take you through a little bit of a football analogy. So if you're not a football fan, I apologize, but man, if you were to ask my wife, from the months of August through February, I sometimes am useless on a Sunday if I can get my 49ers playing and I'm sitting down, right? I've got my little football watching buddy, little Miss Jensen, that she'll sit down with me in her 49ers jersey, and she doesn't know anything that's going on, but it's a great thing for me. All right, so I'm going to take you to show you how to make your deals red zone ready so that you can get them into that portal that Justin talked about so you can close the deal. So what does red zone ready mean? It means how to package the deals that lenders actually want to fund, how to get through that pre-approval process that Justin had talked about. So first thing that you need to understand is you got to understand why deals die. Why do deals die? Why do they not make it fully to the end zone? Why don't people score? Right. Well, the first thing is the problem is usually preparation, not lender access. Now that problem can come from a myriad of factors, right? Oftentimes, it's nothing to do with you or the lender. It's everything to do with your borrower's preparation, as well as the preparation to present it to the lender. Most brokers don't lose deals, okay, because they can't find the lender. They lose deals because they submit files that are incomplete, unclear, or packaged very poorly. Just like a good play in football, you can't move the ball down the field if you got a poorly designed play. that's not accurately communicated from the coach to the player. And the player has to execute, right? And that's the thing is you are the coach through all of this. You've got to be able to let the player know what the play is. The player is your borrower, and the borrower has to execute. The play is to get a complete file that has no loose ends. Now, here in just a minute, I'm going to talk with you all about that, how to make sure there's no loose ends, how to go through all of this. But before that, I want you to understand, a lender cannot move forward if there's confusion. A lender will not approve if there's confusion. If you can't accurately explain to the lender, if you can't accurately get a story from your borrower, the lender's not going to move forward, straightforward and simple. Right? That's the first part of the process when a deal gets submitted. This doesn't make sense, right? People, property, package. Those three things, the three P's, people, property, package. If it doesn't make sense and there's confusion across the three, it's not going to get approved. Now, this is something that's really important for you to understand. So many deals that I see from inexperienced borrowers, inexperienced brokers, as they bring what's called a wish list. Well, the borrower would like to do this, or the borrower would like to do that, or I think this might be a really good deal to go here or there, right? If you don't understand the difference between a wish and an actual play, it's not going to close. Your job is to prepare the deal, not just pass it along, right? You got to make sure that the lender actually wants it. Now, let's talk about the framework of how to take this deal from start to finish, the field in and of itself. A deal moves down the field only when the broker earns the next step. And I want to make this very clear. You have to earn the next step. You have to work for it. If you don't work for it, the ball is not going to move. The deal is not going to move. Too many brokers don't want to put in effort, but effort is required at every single stage. Most brokers think that when they get a deal, they're already in the end zone and they're still at midfield. And what does that look like? Where is midfield? Well, I'll tell you, when you start your deal, think of it as you're on your own 20-yard line. You're at the top of the screen at the top left. That's your 20-yard line. You're trying to get the end zone at the very bottom, right? That's when you've got the lead, the raw lead that you've never talked with, that you have never, that you don't know anything about, right? Well, what action do you take? What earns you the ability to move it from your own 20 down further in the field? Well, as we talk about during the broker certification, our master broker, when I'm walking with my one-on-one clients, that's talking with the actual individual. You can't move the process forward. You can't go from a lead to a prospect without actually talking with the person. So your first step when you get that lead is talk to the person, because as you see right here, it says raw lead, limited info. You don't know much. You don't know anything at all, realistically. So you got to get more information. Okay. The next thing is you're moving down the road. Now you're talking with people. Well, now you have the basic facts. Now you're at midfield. Now you actually might be catching something here. Okay. That's where you're getting the basic facts, where the deal is located. Okay. What the purchase price is. If it's a fix and flip, what's the rehab amount? What's the after repair value? What's the property worth after it's been compared, or that after it, what's the property worth as in, wow, let me try this again. What is the property worth in its current condition? Okay, we got to get all the property information. The next thing, what do? We got to get the property. We've got to get the background. What's the experience like with the borrower? What's the cash reserves? Are they in the area that the subject property is in? Do they have a contractor? Where did they get their numbers from? Right? We're trying to source out the visibility of that individual. Right? That's the intake. That's getting the facts being found. That's where you're having the conversation, but you've got to earn the next stage. Well, what is the next stage? You got to figure out if the deal is actually fundable. You've got to work on this. You have to understand from your borrower's from your lender's perspective. Is the deal that can be fun? Is it a good borrower with a good deal? Is the property in an area that works really well? Remember, 3 Ps: people, property, package. Is it fundable? If you feel that it is, and you've analyzed the deal enough, utilizing Dealio, Senfuse, going old school and using Zillow of all things, right? Yeah, you can pretty well determine your values, and if a deal is a good deal or a bad deal based off the information you can get off of there. So now you're starting to move towards the red zone, but you're not quite there. You notice it says your opponent's 30-yard line. Now you're getting close to scoring, but you're not quite there. How do you get into the red zone? Well, you take that deal that's fundable, and now you find the lender that will match best to what your borrower needs. Remember, your job as a broker is not to serve the lenders. Your job as a broker is to serve your borrowers. I'm going to say that again. Your job as a broker is to serve your borrowers, not your lenders. So you're going to find a lender that is a fit to the deal, that is a fit to the borrower and to the package, at least 2 out of 3, if at all possible. And then you're going to present those numbers to that lender. Now that red zone, what is the red zone? That's you're inside the opponent's 20-yard line. You're getting ready to score. But also the red zone, this is where it gets harder to score, because now things are going to start to get scrutinized. The field is shrinking. The time frames are shrinking. The borrower is going to be put under a microscope. This is where you have to work even harder. You have to earn that next step inside the red zone. And what is that next step? You're at the goal line. You're right there. You're almost ready to close. This is the stage where you're earning that, where you're collecting the documents, where you are getting the appraisal, where you are working with the loan officer and the underwriter to be as creative as you possibly can to get them what they need in order to move the ball a few inches forward across that goal line. Now, what does that process look like? Right? Well, as Justin said, right, the process is getting those documents in, ordering the appraisals, right? Making sure that all needs are met from the processor, from the underwriter, from the fund manager. Making sure all of that is done. Making sure that your borrower is doing things when they need to, how they need to. Making sure that the borrower knows that they need to be to the title company at this day and this time to make sure that they close it, right? That is the goal line work. Everything to this point, the raw lead, the intake, the fundable, making sure it's fundable, finding the lender fit, meeting the conditions, all leads you to getting a touchdown. Boom. That's when you have officially closed your deal. But here's the thing. Does a game end when you've scored a touchdown? No, at least not if you're the first one to score, right? Or if it's the first quarter. I'll tell you, you should treat every single deal as if it's the first quarter, that you're just getting started. Now, after you score, you got to go on defense. Well, what is defense in this realm? Defense is building the relationship with the borrower, making sure that the borrower follows through on what they said that they're going to, making sure that they're making their payments, building the relationship, finding out what their next deal is going to be, when it's going to be, where it's going to be, and starting to build that relationship more so that you can work with them accordingly. Right? The game doesn't end until the whistle blows, but here's the great thing. In a game of football, you got 4 quarters. In a game of private money brokering, you are in charge of when the game ends. And if you're good at doing this, it'll never end because you're having so much fun. I absolutely love brokering private money. It allows me to take care of my family, my amazing wife, my 3 daughters. It allows me to take care of people that have gotten me to the point where I'm at. It allows me to take care of those that need the little hand up and hand out to show them the love of God, right? Sometimes we can be that person. Private money brokering allows me to do that. My game is never going to end because I follow this process. I know where I'm at. I don't imagine that I'm in the red zone at all times. I understand it takes work from stage to stage to stage. Now, when it comes to the different stages, I want to break this down a little bit more. How do we take it across each stage, make it a little bit better? What makes that the deal red zone ready? Now, if any of you have any questions, I want all of you to know that you can put those in the chat. I've got them setting right up. I've got the chat right up here. So if you got any questions about anything I'm talking about, the analogies, maybe you're just not a sports person, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Hey, Brandon, can you rephrase this? I got no problem doing that. Okay. Or if you have a question about what Justin talked about, I can answer those as well. The chat's right here. I'm more than happy to answer it for you. Now, when it comes to the making the deal red zone ready, okay, what does that look like? Understand that before submission, you need to know the facts about how to drive the lender confidence, how to make that lender want to approve you to move forward. Okay, here's all the information that you need to have. Okay, number one is you need to have the property address. You need to have a rehab budget if there is a rehab involved on the deal. You need to have the borrower's experience, the property type, as well as the after repair value or appraised value if there has been a recent appraisal on it. You need to have liquidity or reserves of the person because they can't buy a deal. They can't purchase anything if they don't have liquidity or reserves to match it. You need to know what the purpose of the loan is. Why are they buying the property? And I want to focus on this, right? There's two, when you say the loan purpose, right? That could be that they're just doing a fix and flip, right? That's easy. But what's the purpose of them buying the deal? That's what you truly want to know. Why are they buying the deal? What's motivating them to put their neck out on the line and invest into a real estate investment property? What's their motivating factor? That's as much part of the story as the numbers are. Because if their motivation is just, I want to make money, I'll tell you right now, there's a good chance that they may ghost you, that they may not be fully committed to try this, because here's the unfiltered truth. You can always make money somewhere else. Always. Right here, right now in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, I drive about 4 miles that way. There is a McDonald's. On the sign at McDonald's, it says, now starting at $21 an hour. You can always make money somewhere else. My first job was $2.25 an hour, working in southern Idaho in the middle of potato fields. I did something called roguing potatoes. If you know what that is, props to you, because I didn't even know what it was until I started doing it. Basically what it was is I walked up and down potato fields, mile-long rows, for 12 to 14-hour days, looking for diseased potato plants that could potentially poison the whole crop. And I dig them up for 14 hours a day for $2.25 an hour. That was a way that I could make money. Person nowadays can work at McDonald's making $21 an hour. If your borrower is investing into a deal and they just say, I want to invest because I want to make money, I need to question that a little bit. I need to question what's the true motivation. I need to get down to the center of their onion, right? Get them ask, why? Why do you want to make money? What's it going to provide to you? I want to know that, the loan purpose. Now, does the lender need to know that? Typically, no. But it can give you a good insight into letting the lender know why this borrower, maybe they have a lower credit score, would still be a good person for them to lend to, right? Knowing motivations is an extremely important thing. We also need to know the requested loan amount. We need to know the exit strategy. How are they going to make money from this? And as a private money broker, this is one of your jobs, is to consult with them about the exit strategy. I've got a borrower right now that I'm working with. I've closed 6 deals with him inside of the last 8 weeks. And the initial way that our conversation went is that he wanted to buy a property and turn it into a rental. Great, we can do that. I asked him, why did he want to do it? And he said, well, my daughter's going to college and I don't like dorms. So I'm going to buy a property and I'm going to let her rent from me in it. And then he bought a property that was on the higher, or then he put an offer in on a property that was on the high end of the market that didn't have the ability to really cash flow. He'd be lucky if he broke even with all that, with the rents on how much his mortgages would be. So I told him, hey, I don't think you should do this deal. I want you buying a property in this area of this type of a deal where we can put some money into it to build some equity into it. So then we can do it into, we can turn it into a rental property. So that's what we did. He backed out of that one because it just wasn't a good fit. He found another one that he could rehab. The very light lipstick rehab, put some carpet and some new paint, replace a window or something like that, and then and start renting it out. Once he got it rented, we turned around and we refinanced that into a long-term DSCR loan where we pulled cash out of it at the same time. So we used, and then we're taking that, we're repeating every single time. Buying a property, repairing it, refinancing it, repeating it, right? This is what's called the BRRRR method. And if we'd just gone with what he wanted, he'd only done maybe 1 or 2 deals because he'd put all of his money into there. But now we've got a repeatable process where by the end of the year, he'll have a portfolio of anywhere between 25 to 30 deals or 25 to 30 properties underneath his business. Because I helped him learn the right exit strategy and advised him the right exit strategy so that he could go and pursue that further. Now, obviously, with every single deal, you got to know your purchase price and current value. If you're going to buy it, you got to know what you're buying it for and what it's currently worth. You got to know the borrower's credit score. And that's an extremely important thing because some lenders won't work with somebody with a sub 700 credit score. There's a lot of lenders that their floor is 660. COGO Capital's floor is 600. We'll go as low as a 600 credit score. But for the right borrower with an amazing deal in a great location, we'll even go below that. We've got a loan in the pipeline right now for COGO Capital that I understand that the borrower has a 560 credit score, but they've got a great property in a great location, a great package with a great property, borrower so-so. But like Justin said, the property oftentimes will outweigh a bad borrower. So just remember that, right? Just because there's a bad credit score doesn't mean that you should proceed forward, but you need to, if you're going to proceed forward to work this deal, to present it to the lender, which is your red zone, right? You need to make sure that you can match the right package and property to the lender and allow that to overweigh the bad borrower. All right, closing timeline. You've got to understand how fast do they need to close? How fast do you need to score? Right? Are we in the final 2 minutes of the game? Do we only have 4 days left? Do we need to create urgency? Or do we have 3 or 4 or 5 weeks? I don't know. Your borrower will. And they'll tell you, and then you use that to build out your presentation to the lender. You use that to draw your borrower in and create urgency in them so they will jump when you say jump. Set the expectation based off the closing timeline and you're never going to go wrong. If any of these things are missing, you're not ready to get into the red zone. You're not ready to send a deal out. You're not ready to match it to a lender. You're not ready to score if you don't have all of these. Now, obviously, this is going to change from one deal to another. Is all of these the same things that you're going to need for new construction? No, it's not. For a rental? No, it's not. For straight purchase? Maybe. Fix and flip? Maybe. But that's why we have the portal. right? Justin showed you on the right side of the screen, there was that initial needs list that pops up. Now, half those documents you're probably not going to need, but it's good to know the ones that you should be expecting. And here is one thing, a really important thing that I want you to remember, and it pops up right there at the bottom of the screen. Do not let your borrower's urgency become your sloppiness. Right? There's a great phrase that my band teacher in high school was also backed up by my football coach. A lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine. I refuse to get sloppy because you didn't plan ahead. If the borrower is not giving you enough time to do your job correctly, don't stick your neck out for them. Or if you're going to, you set such a high expectation of them that they need to meet, or you walk away. Remember, your job is to close deals. The initial time is not to make friends, it's to close a deal. You can make a friend afterwards. Now, there is a 5-line deal pitch. When you've got all of this information, you want to present it to a lender. What do you do? How do you pitch it? How do you get them to want to move forward? If you cannot explain the deal in 5 lines, more than likely the lender's not going to understand it. So here's those 5 lines. The property type, address, and state. Line 1. Straightforward and simple. Sounds like the last slide, right? Slide 2. The loan purpose and requested amount. Those need to be in line. Loan purpose, requested amount. Line 3. Purchase price, rehab, or current ARV or current value. Now, if you have the current value and the ARV and is doing a fix and flip, that's even better. Line 4. The borrower's credit, experience, and liquidity. And line 5, exit strategy and closing timeline. If you arrange a deal like this and present it to a lender in this way, they're going to understand exactly what you're looking at all times. If you put the borrower's name and then their credit score and then the purchase price and then the as-is value and then the ARV and then the this there and that there, right? The lender's going to have to try to make sense of it all. Now, for the most part, loan officers are smart enough, but loan officers don't want to work to have to decode something. If you put your submissions to a lender in all of this right here, they'll know exactly what it is. They'll be able to move forward and help you move forward fast as well. I want to take you through an example of what this would look like for you and a deal so that you can understand what a good deal to be submitted would look like. So your example, we've got a non-owner occupied single family residence, SFR, in Dallas, Texas. The borrower is requesting $220,000 for purchase and rehab. The purchase price is $180,000, rehab is $40,000, ARV is $130,000. Credit is 710 with 2 completed flips. $35,000 liquidity. The exit is a resale within 6 months, and a target closing is June 21st. I just took all 5 of those lines, I put them into a paragraph, and I put it out there. All 5 lines. Now, it's better to separate them into lines, but if you put a paragraph like that, the lender's not going to know exactly what you're looking at, and I can tell you, they're going to appreciate you. A well-packaged presentation up front makes a lender respect you more than what you will know. I've got great relationships with our 3 loan officers here in COGO Capital. And I'll tell you, I hear them every single day say, why is this broker sending me this? I don't know what they want me to do with it. Guys, don't make your loan officers get frustrated with you because you're not presenting things the way that you should. If you go with those 5 lines in every submission, your lenders and your loan officers will be extremely happy. Now, let's talk about a little bit of a film room here for you. Like, this is called the Broker Playbook. We talk about film study. Well, I thought we would talk about the 2 different things, right? We're going to run through a mock deal, and I'm going to help you diagnose the deal so you're not guessing in relation to everything. All right, so our mock deal. This is a fix and flip in a rural market with non-owner occupied single-family residence. We have a purchase price of $175,000, a rehab of $65,000. The borrower is claiming an after repair value of $340,000. They're looking for 100% of purchase and 100% of rehab. Borrower has a 660 credit score with 0 flips, and they only have $12,000 to their name, and they need to close inside of 14 days. All right, let's diagnose this to see if this is something you should be pursuing and bringing to a lender or not. Should we get this into the red zone or not? Okay, well, what is missing? How do we diagnose this? What's missing? Is the ARV supportable? Does the borrower need more cash? What lender type could fit? And is this a bad deal or a badly packaged deal? So let's go back and answer those questions for you one by one. Okay, what is still missing? Okay, let's see. We have the purchase price, the rehab, ARV. We do not have the as-is value. Okay, and we need have the borrower credit score, experience, liquidity, and time frame. Right now, the only thing I'd say that is missing is location. Right? We know it's a rural market, but we don't know where. Because what did Justin just say? An hour commute from a major metropolitan area is what COGO Capital would consider fundable. If it's outside of that, that is rural. Right? So we need to know, right? We don't have enough information to know if it's fundable or not, because it's rural or not. So now we need to go with the ARV. Is that supportable? I'm not sure it is, because you see the word, it says claimed ARV. Now, going back to your broker certification, what is the one line I told every single one of you if you've gone through the certification? What's that one line that you should ask after every single number? How did you determine that amount? The word claimed tells me that there is no backing to that number. They're just guessing. So is the ARV supportable? I don't think it is. But can we go someplace to verify? Yeah, we could. Could you go to Zillow? 100%. Could you research the property on Dealio? 100%. Could you go to SendFuse and research the property and get comps that way? You could. Could you pull a collateral DNA report from the membership website? Yes, you could. There are a bunch of different ways to support that. We just know that right now there's no substantive number to back that up because they're claiming a $340,000 after repair value. Does the borrower need more cash? Okay, well, they want 100% of the purchase and 100% of the rehab. However, they have 0 experience and a so-so credit score. Lenders are less inclined to give 100% financing to a person that doesn't have experience and has a so-so credit score. So more than likely what this borrower is going to get is going to be the standard. Going to get 90% of the purchase and 100% of the rehab, not 100. So we have the purchase price of $175,000. That means they're going to have a 10% down of $17,500 for just the purchase. Not to mention the closing costs on the deal. The closing cost on the loan would be roughly, let's see, I'm doing math inside my head, 17, should be a 158 plus 65, 40, so about 230-ish. So we have our closing cost that averages out about 10% of the total loan. Now, I always go high. It actually is closer to 7 or 6%, but we're still going to go high at 10%. So we'd need roughly $40,000 to close this deal, not to mention payment reserves and everything else. This person only has $12,000 in liquidity. Can they afford the deal? No. All right, so that right there is already starting to tell me, is this a bad deal or is it badly packaged? Well, I'm going to say it's an okay deal with a bad borrower. So can you package the deal with a bad borrower? Can you make the borrower better? Yeah, you can. I'd tell this person, go partner up with somebody that's got a little more experience and that can bring your cash reserves down, or your cash reserves down from yourself, but bring them their own. So is it possible to do? Yes, it is. By the borrower alone, I would say no. This is where you need to be able to tell a proper story or build things in to make the play look better. So we have just a few minutes left, and I want to leave you guys with, if there are any questions, which there are a handful of them up here, which I will get to here in just a second. Actually, let's go right now. Niall, thank you so much for the kind comment. And I love knowing that I've grown as a presenter and that you appreciate that. Seahawks fan. Let's see who. Oh, yeah. Austin's over here roasting me and saying, "You're not a Seahawks fan?" No, I'm not. I am a gigantic 49ers fan. So yes, Pacific Northwest, come at me. Austin's over here trying to be all kinds of facetious. Angel, you said, when is the replay going to be? Where to find it on the site? So after we wrap up, Austin and I will get this thing processed by tomorrow. We will have it uploaded into the membership site, and our Chief Marketing Officer, Mr. Charlie Palmer, will be putting out a replay. You'll get an email about that tomorrow to make sure that you are that you can go back and watch this again. And then looks like it's more of a comment than anything. Is Miss Evie, you said you always forget to add your broker points onto the request. That is actually a pretty common thing. That's a pretty common thing for brokers to do. So it's a habit you got to build. And just remember, COGO will question, what broker fee do you want? Other lenders won't if you don't bring it up. Right? So if you want to get paid, put yourself first when it comes to that scenario. But if you're not the only one that struggles with that, but it's just a learned habit, you'll get there. And then Kathy, has the application fee gone away? Yes, it has. That's a great question. So we actually did away with the application fee. Austin was what, November, October of last year, right? Somewhere right around there. And that was at the broker's request. Brokers were giving us a hard time about having them because their borrowers didn't want to pay one. Okay, well, we did away with it, which makes it easier on you, right? To be able to get the deal into the red zone and everything else. So Austin, can you pull everything back up here? I do have an assignment for every single one of you for this broker webinar. Number one is I want you to take one active lead and start preparing it through this process that you know. The 5 lines that I told you about. The 5-line deal pitch. Work it into a 5-line deal pitch. Get it where you're used to it. Maybe create a template in your email that you can have right there that you just fill in before you send it out. Okay, go through this and see what missing information you have based off of the information I've given you. If the deal that you have is not a fix and flip or standard purchase or a rental, maybe you got a new construction, reach out to your loan officer and see what information that they can give you that you can put into your own checklist. Okay, every time that you go through a deal, the next lead that you get, run it through those risk scenarios. Do you have all the information, right? Is it a bad package, a bad borrower? Are we good? Right, run it through that. And then make sure that you have 3 unanswered questions to bring back to your borrower. It is okay to question your borrower. As a matter of fact, if you don't question your borrower, you're not doing your job as a broker, right? If you're not leaving every stone unturned, then maybe you need to ask more questions. Okay, and then also brainstorm likely lender types. Who's going to be the best lender for this deal? A couple more questions that popped up here from Mr. James Beck. James, how are you, sir? I love hearing from you. You said appraisal process. Has that changed to become easier and less expensive? Yes, it has. Well, in a roundabout way. So the appraisal process, to pay for an appraisal, right? COGO does not set that price. COGO actually outsources to a third-party appraisal company who contracts to appraisers. The appraisers are the ones that set the fees. So it could be cheaper, it could be more expensive, but we are actively creating more relationships that with more motivated appraisers that want to do things faster. So the process won't take nearly as long. And we're hoping to make it cheaper on our borrowers as well over time. But that's one of the costs that we cannot control. But just know your job as a broker is to get your clients into that process as fast as you possibly can, because we don't want to leave anything to chance. We want to get there. And so the appraiser has their time to do their job while you're collecting documents. And then Niall, he said that, I'm just reading this out loud. He said that we do not have to JV with our client to offer them 100% loan to cost and 100% of rehab. How do we get paid on those? That's great. Great question. So as a master broker, well, if you're a master broker, if you've gone through the master broker program, or you've had a one-on-one broker mentorship, there's two ways that you can get paid on it. Number one is just through your standard broker fee. Okay. And number two is you can split points with COGO Capital and not charge any points, but split points with COGO that way. It is entirely possible to do both. We haven't changed how you get paid. You charge whatever you want and you feel is worthy of your time. All of you have some great questions on all this. Harold, can you still match points as a master? Yes. So if you're talking matching points, meaning splitting points with COGO, 100% yes, that has not gone away. All right, great questions, guys. Well, we got about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes left, so I need to wrap this up. Let all of you get on with your evening, and we'll go from there. But just remember, there's a couple things I want you to remember here. Getting into the red zone is not luck. It's preparation. Number two, when you know the numbers and understand the risk and package the deal clearly, you give the lender a reason to stay in the game. And then professional brokers do not submit hope. They submit clarity. Thank you everyone so much for your time. I will see you next month on the Broker Playbook, where we'll do some more film review. Have a great evening, everyone.
If you want to learn more, just click the link below.